Okay, this is a video on Flaming Hot Fire text. We're going to demonstrate how to complete this assignment. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create a blank canvas. We'll go to File, we go New. For this, we need to make sure we're on inches. And we can make this, I want to say 8 inches will work. And we'll go 4 inches tall. And we'll go 300 resolution. Everything else is the same as far as RGB color, white. Okay, so hit create. Okay, so if you know me, I like to get all my stuff kind of organized. I don't see my layers right now. Oh, there it is. So I do like for my layers to be expanded like this. I don't like for my layers to be like this because if I have multiple layers, it gets covered up. So I like to come by and be able to see students also layers, be able to see all their layers. Helps to sometimes unlock the layers just in case you need to work on that layer. And anything else we'll get to, okay? But I always like to have my layers out. And there's no need to have this out like that, and it just crowds your space, okay? Maybe you know that by now. Okay. So I like to arrange my workspace. All right. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to fill this in with black. And in case you didn't know, you could always take these little squares to create black. You don't have to click on something like this and then select black down there. You can always click on this two little square icons to get back to the default color, and you always click on these arrows to switch back and forth. Go in your foreground, background, okay? Now I'm going to take the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to fill this in, all right? Now I'm going to select the type tool, which is the T right there. I want to make sure my color is white. I want to make sure my font is Times New Roman. I want to make sure it is bold. Okay. Size, we'll go with like 60 right now. We'll see how big that is. Okay. So we're going to all caps, fire. Okay. Now we'll go up to the little check mark. Click on that. Then we're going to do Control T for transform. And I'm going to enlarge that. Now, if you're getting something like this, and we want to keep it the ratio the same, you need to make sure that this is clicked, okay, and on, so that when we click and enlarge, it keeps its aspect ratio the same, or proportions, whatever you want to call it. I feel like that fills up space pretty good. We want to make sure and leave a little bit of space up here because we're going to get flames coming up through here. Go a little bigger. Now, you see how that line pops up right there? That's letting me know I'm like in the center right there, okay, in case you didn't know. So click the check mark for OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize this layer. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to come down to, I'm always missing it. Here's some rasterized type. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to come down to the little square right there and duplicate it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this layer off. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back and select the original layer. I'm going to come to my image, rotation, image rotation, 90 degrees clockwise. Now I might need to move this kind of the middle. That works right there. So now I'm going to go to Filter, Stylize, Wind. And I'm going to go from left. Make sure that this says from left. Okay, make sure and do that. Make sure this is Wind. Click OK. Now you're going to see just a little bit of streak right there on the edge right there from streaking towards the right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go Control Alt F, and I'll repeat that. I'm going to Control Alt F again. I'm going to do it one more time so that I have a little bit there to work with to make that into flames. Okay. So it depends on your size of the canvas that you created and also the resolution that might affect how many times you put that filter on there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image rotation. I'm going to go counterclockwise, get it back to where it was. So I'll center this up. Now we're going to do an effect where we make this kind of look like flames. Okay, so I'm going to go to Filter. I'm going to go, I about forgot one thing. We need to go to Blur. I need to go Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And from here, we wanted to use 1.2. Okay. So let me hit cancel on that. I want you to be able to see what that's going to do. So you can see how hard edge all this is, the wind effect or the streaks. But when we put this filter, blur, Gaussian blur at 1.2, you can already see that it's got a little blurry on it. It's a little fuzzy, right? Okay. So I'm going to back out of that. Now we're going to go filter, liquify. Oops, I forgot a step. Hit cancel. I need to duplicate the black because I couldn't see that white against that checkerboard. And I'm going to select the original layer and I'm going to merge it down. I'll right click on here and go merge down. Now, when I go to filter, liquify, I can actually see what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Now, you got this selected, forward warp tool. And over here, this number is going to determine the size of that circle right there and how big of these little streaks you're going to create, okay? Now, if I use my right-left bracket, again, that will increase and decrease the size. And you see the numbers changing over here as I click on those brackets, okay? It's just like we always use for the brush. So I feel like about a 35 to 40 is going to be an ideal size. Now this is where I've got a Wacom pad, and the Wacom is going to really help rather than using like a mouse. Now one thing you don't want to do is kind of, as you're doing this, kind of streak up and go up into the letter. Okay, you don't want to do that because that'll kind of warp the structure of the letter. We just want to go on the top edges and isolate this within the area that's above the letter, not kind of get into any other parts. So all I'm doing is kind of lifting and kind of curving, kind of going to make this little back and forth kind of motion. And it's kind of creating flame looking kind of stuff. And you just continue doing this, get it the way you like it. You know, if you need to do more, if you want taller in places, all up to you. It's your aesthetic. I feel like some of that needs to be lifted up, kind of like where it's kind of that white right there coming up, rather than just kind of doing something like this, where there's not white that can get involved. I think it really looks better kind of when that white kind of gets pushed up into it. I guess you can kind of overdo this a little bit. But you just kind of take your own pace. You can actually kind of push back down if you wanted to. Which I kind of like that. Kind of makes it actually more flame-like. So just experiment. So I'm going to continue doing this real quick. I may not do a good job because I'm just doing this as an example. So I'm just going to kind of rush here. Kind of hit that right there a little bit and see if I can push that back down a little bit. I kind of messed that up. I'm going to Control Z. I can zoom in. That might help. Pushing back down seems to really be nice and useful. Yeah, I want to be careful not push up into the letter too much. So push it back out. Oh gosh. Yeah, working up against the side of the letter right there is a little difficult. And you can really kind of get back and forth with it if you want to. Last letter. Whoops. I like that though. Save it somehow. All right, feel pretty good about my flames. I'm gonna go make sure I got them all. All right, click OK. So there's my flames. All right, now I'm gonna slow down a little bit because I got to read off of paper because this gets a little bit monotonous. So here's what I'm gonna do. Just make sure you follow along. So some stuff out of the way. Now, down here along the layers panel on the bottom, there's some icons here, okay? Now, we're familiar with using the trash can and new layers and stuff like that, but we have this thing that's called an adjustment layer. Create an adjustment layer. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to hue and saturation, okay? Now, what this is going to do, you notice it popped out the properties panel, right? Now, I'm going to minimize that part of the panel. I just pulled out the properties. Now, you're going to notice on our layers, we have a new layer, okay? That's okay. That's what this is. All right, so what we need to do, there's some numbers we got to adjust. So the hue, what you want to do is click right there and kind of delete the 0 and do, or whatever number you have, hit 40. And you can hit the tab if you want to and do 100. That's for the saturation. And then you want to make sure and click colorize. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to actually make another new hue and saturation layer. Now notice what it did. Create another one, number 2. Okay. Now this panel stayed open, but notice the number switched to 0, 0 again. The colorize is off. Now for this one, we're going to do a negative 15. So negative 15. Okay. So once we got that, we're done with it. We can actually close this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to this where it says normal. This is actually called the blend mode. Okay, so we're going to go from normal down to overlay. Okay, you can kind of see what that did. It kind of how that adjusted the flames a little bit, right? Those two layers working together and doing an overlay. Okay, this is stuff that I'm used to doing myself. I'm just reading off instructions. Okay, I can't explain too much of this, but just Photoshop has a lot of capacity and a lot of features. So, so let's see. Might be doing some things we're unfamiliar with. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the original fire layer and cut it on. I mean, not the original, the copy. This is the original. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down to the FX. Now, the FX is something to do with layer style. Now, if you remember, layer, we can go layer style from here too, in the blending options, right? Well, let's just do it this way. This is just another way of doing it. We're going to click on blending options. All right, and oh, whoops. Oh, I can do it this way, or let's hit that. Let's exit out of that. Let's do it this way. Click on here, then we'll go to gradient overlay right there, and that way it just brings up our gradient overlay selected, okay? Now again, we're going to be doing some unusual things, just follow along. So you see this gradient right here, that kind of white bar. We're going to click on that, and it's going to pop up this gradient editor. That's what that's called, is a gradient editor. And then we're going to come down here in this little box right here, that's called a marker, a color stop. And then we're going to click right here, okay? And then we're going to come up with this color picker. Now, the RGB, we got some numbers we're going to put in for the RGB to make them something particular, okay? So what we want to do is, right now it's on 215, I'm going to make it 29. I'm going to hit the tab button to go to the G, make that 13, hit the tab button. Tab is much easier than just kind of clicking from one to the next, okay? So we got 29, 13, and 1, okay? I'm going to click OK. Now we've already set the color for this side of the gradient. Now we're going to come over to this side of the gradient and click on color. Now for this one, we're going to make the RGB for the R 248 tab 160 tab 7. So now we got this kind of bright orange. Click OK. And I believe we're done with that. Let me make sure. Okay, I need to make sure. Yeah, click OK on that. It looks like everything else is good. Make sure you got align with layer. Make sure it says linear. Make sure it says 90 degrees. Okay. So we're going to click OK on that. Now, we only have just a little bit left to do. Okay. We're going to come down here and use another thing we're unfamiliar with, which this is called the layer mask. So I'm going to click on that, and now you got this new kind of little thumbnail up here with that. Now, this is going to be kind of weird and odd and unusual for us, something we've not really done before, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my brush. I want to make sure my brush is a soft brush, right? Now your brushes might be all collapsed like that. If it is, click on that little arrow, get the soft edge brush, okay? Make sure 100%, you're fine up there. And then we're going to make sure our foreground color is black, okay? Make sure that is black. Now watch this. I'm going to zoom in. Now, my cursor, oops, whoa. So my cursor is this little crosshair because my caps lock is on, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna decrease the size of that just a little bit. Whoops. And now I'm going to just kind of along the edge of this, I'm just going to kind of, you're basically erasing, because like I said, this is a mask. So I'm just going along the edge of this. And notice it's not erasing out, it just erased across that edge, not erasing the black, right? So I'm just going to continue going across. Oops, too far. It'd be better if I use my whacking pad. Let me get that more control. So all this is doing is softening that edge. It makes it look like it's on fire. It's just a little touch. Don't do it too much. You just want to do it just a little. Just like, like that. That would just be too much, right? Just subtle. Otherwise, it doesn't look like the fire is actually on it. And you want it to vary, you don't want it to be like consistent all the way across. Kind of let it be a little up and down as far as so it might be singeing more in places and singeing less in others. Now let me zoom out on that so if we got everything. All right. And that is it. Okay. You've completed fire and you can turn that in. That's it.